Hi there. Because we were unable to hold our regular Monday seminar due to the Victoria Day holiday, I've prepared this short video to fill in some of what we have missed and also to help orient you for the Friday lab. Here's what we're going to cover in this short video. First of all, a little bit more background on the trend analysis assignment. We'll talk a little bit more about the formation of trend analysis groups. I want to give you information about the team charter, and then finally about the trend analysis proposal. But first of all, a couple of check-ins and reminders. The online content for this week is extremely important because it's going to help prepare you for the activity that we'll be doing in the lab, which is the creation of the trend analysis proposal. Specifically, we have information in the online module about email format, what we call netiquette or email etiquette, and proper tone. And these are all directly related to your trend analysis proposal that you'll be doing in the lab on Friday. So let's talk about the trend analysis assignment. Just to provide you an overview of what is in the instructions for the assignment, our scenario for this assignment is that your supervisor has asked you to find a relevant trend and to create a report for them so that they can use that information to stay relevant in the ever-changing industry. So in your case, we're talking about the nursing industry. And we have spoken in class about what we consider to be relevant trends. And relevant trends for this assignment are trends that are emerging trends, not something that has been happening in the nursing industry for 10 or 15 or 20 years, but something that is on the horizon right now that is beginning to change how things are done and that will have a greater impact in the future. And a little bit about why we are doing this. We've talked about this also in class, that one of the characteristics of the contemporary workforce, and nursing is no exception, is the fact that change is a constant. Some of those changes have to do with demographics, some of them have to do with technological changes. So in this project, we're providing an opportunity to work collaboratively on a topic that will help you have a better understanding of some of the changes in your workplace. So in terms of the trend analysis teams, in the lab last week, we did the team building group activity. And what we want you to be actively thinking about and acting upon is who you would like to work with for the trend analysis assignment. Our ideal group size is groups of 3. If, however, you only have a group of 2 or a group of 4, that is also acceptable, but our preference is groups of 3. And in fact, for the kinds of things that we're asking you to do in the assignment, groups of 3 are ideal. If there are people by the end of this week who is not in a team, or people who are not in a team, I will step in and play a role in forming those teams. But we like to think that ultimately it should be your preference to choose who you work with. The choice of team members is extremely important, as I already explained, because you're going to work together not just for the trend analysis assignment, but also for the presentations at the end of the term. And by the way, a reminder that for the trend analysis assignment, we are assigning a group grade. All members of the team will receive the same grade. I am going to talk about the team charter in a moment, but what I'd like to do first is to switch over to the course page and have a look at some of the resources that are there. So this is the folder of resources for the trend analysis assignment. The first one that I'm pausing my cursor on, trend analysis report team assignment, that is the set of instructions for the assignment. And if you have not already taken time to read the instructions carefully. I think it's really important that you do that before our lab on Friday. The second thing I want to point you to is what's known as a trend selecting guide, and we're just going to click on that and open it up. Here we have, if we scroll down, a series of ideas for trend analysis listed by program, and all of you are in the practical nursing program. So what these are sample topics that we have obtained from your program coordinator. Now, you do not have to choose one of these topics, but these are sample topics to give you an idea of the kinds of things that we're looking for. And in fact, if you wish, you may choose one of these topics for a trend idea. The next thing I want to point out for you is the instructions for the team charter. And I'm just going to open this up, and then we'll go back to our slides and we'll provide a bit more explanation. So the team charter is a 2-page document that you and your team are going to fill out. It is not for marks, but we are requiring each team to do it so that we have it on file. This is a Word document, so that what you can do with this is to download this, create a shared document so that you and your team can fill it in even if you're not in the room together. You can see at the top of the page here, we're asking just for fun, if you give your team a name. Under industry trend, this is where we want you to list your trend topic that you've chosen. And you can see there are other boxes here. So in this next part of the document, we've got team roles. So if you do want to organize your team in such a way that you're dividing up in terms of different roles, you can fill that in here. Now, we have been speaking about working collaboratively, and you may decide that you want to stick with a collaborative model and that you're not assigning separate roles for different members of the team, so you don't need to fill this in by assigning different roles. But what we do need here are your first and last names. And then as you go through the document, we have some other things that we need you to do. On the second page of the document, what we're asking you to do is to think about how you will respond if, for instance, one person on the team does not come through with what they've said they'd do. So once again, the team charter, we are asking each team to fill it in and to submit it. There is a drop box for the team charter. We're not assigning a grade for it, but it is a required thing for us to have on hand. So we're just going to drop back into our slides here and to talk a little bit more about the team charter. Sets expectations within your team, holds each member accountable. If there should arise a situation where there's conflict in a team, this document is intended for your group to serve as the foundation in terms of navigating your way through it. If you have any questions at all in your team about how to fill out the team charter, please ask, and I'm right there to help you answer. And there is a Dropbox for the team charter. I am expecting, my expectation is that you have completed and uploaded the team charter by the end of this week to D2L. So the last thing I want to speak about here quickly is the trend analysis proposal. This is going to be completed with your team in the lab, and your team will submit one proposal for the team, not each of you doing it separately. And this is why it's extremely important that you have all of your team members in attendance in the lab this Friday. When you come into the lab, I will share instructions for the trend analysis proposal at the beginning of the lab. And you'll be completing it during the period of the lab, and I can reassure you that you will have sufficient time in the lab to complete the trend analysis proposal. So before we end up here, things that you need to do next. If you have not done so already, you need to finalize who you're working with on a trend analysis. And again, we are suggesting groups of 3. Your team would be in much better shape if you have agreed upon a trend analysis topic before you come into the lab on Friday. We are asking you and your team to complete and upload the team charter to the proper Dropbox by the end of the week. If you've done so already, we are also advising you to read the online module before the lab. And once again, your task in the lab will be to complete the trend analysis proposal, and you will get instructions at the beginning of the lab for that. Thanks for checking this out.